The prince, armed with valor and the echoes of his ancestors' glory, embarks on a daring quest to rescue the princess. Unbeknownst to him, the enchanted forest that lies ahead weaves a tapestry of illusions and tricks, designed to disorient and bewilder the bravest of hearts. In the midst of preparations, an ancient prophecy, etched in the forgotten language of the Old Kingdom, goes unnoticed. It whispers a warning of the perils that await, hinting that not all strength comes from the sword, but the prince, focused on his mission, pays it no heed. As the dark silhouette of the castle looms on the horizon, a sense of unease settles over the prince. He is oblivious to the fact that the castle is guarded not just by walls and soldiers, but by shape-shifting guardians capable of turning into anyone's worst fear. An encounter with a wise owl should have been a turning point. The owl, with eyes that have seen centuries pass, hints at the trials ahead. Unfortunately, the prince's resolve blinds him to the wisdom offered, interpreting the advice as mere riddles rather than valuable guidance. Upon reaching a river that whispers riddles in the language of the old world, the prince is challenged for the first time. The water's surface ripples with questions of heart and mind, and he struggles to find the answers, realizing that brute force cannot conquer the cunning of nature. In the depths of the forest, a mysterious old woman appeared before the prince, offering him a glowing amulet. He accepted it with a nod, not realizing its true significance. This magical tool, she hinted, could reveal hidden paths and secrets, yet he tucked it away, focusing instead on his sword. As the prince ventured closer to the dark castle, he encountered his first real test, a river that whispered riddles in the voices of those long gone. He stood puzzled, the water's surface reflecting his confusion. Each riddle seemed a key to crossing safely, but his answers fell short, leaving him stranded and frustrated. Undeterred, the prince pressed on until a wise owl perched above him spoke of impending challenges. Its words, cryptic and laden with hidden meanings, flew over his head as mere background noise. He laughed off the advice, convinced of his own strength and strategy, misunderstanding the depth of the owl's wisdom. The path led him next to guardians of the castle, creatures of shadow that shifted shape with the wind. Unaware of their true nature, the prince drew his sword, ready to battle. He didn't realize these guardians were not enemies but tests of character, their forms a challenge to his perception and resolve. Finally, the prince's pride became his greatest obstacle when he met a talking fox. The fox, with eyes gleaming with mischief and wisdom, offered guidance through the enchanted forest. Yet, the prince, confident in his own sense of direction, dismissed the fox's words, a decision he would come to regret as the forest's mysteries deepened. As the prince ventured deeper into the enchanted realm, a sudden, violent storm brewed overhead. The sky, dark and wrathful, unleashed torrents of rain and fierce winds that seemed to challenge his very resolve. This was no ordinary tempest, but the anger of sky spirits, testing the prince's determination to press on. Navigating through the tempestuous weather, the prince stumbled upon a labyrinth garden. Its hedges, alive and cunning, shifted paths with a mind of their own. Underestimating the garden's deceptive nature, he found himself ensnared in its twists and turns, a physical manifestation of his inner doubts and confusions. A mirage of a grand banquet appeared before the weary prince, tempting him with rest and sustenance. Unbeknownst to him, this feast was a distraction, a ploy by the enchanted forest to sway him from his noble quest. The allure of comfort tested his focus and dedication to rescuing the princess. The prince's next encounter was with a mirror, not of glass, but of truth. It revealed his deepest intentions, forcing him to confront the purity of his quest. Was it for glory, love, or duty? This introspection was a crucial step, challenging him to reassess his motives and strengthen his resolve. Finally, the prince faced a grove where magical vines, thick and relentless, ensnared him. Brute force proved futile against their grasp. It was here he learned the value of patience and ingenuity over sheer strength. Each vine that retreated in response to his calm determination brought him closer to understanding the true nature of power. In the heart of the enchanted forest, the prince encountered a dragon, its scales shimmering in the moonlight. Believing it to be an enemy, he drew his sword, ready for battle. However, the dragon merely watched him, guarding a secret path. The prince, mistaking aggression for valor, failed to see the opportunity for alliance and knowledge that lay before him. A gnome, no taller than the prince's knee, appeared with a mischievous grin, challenging him to a game of wits. The prince, confident in his physical strength, underestimated the gnome's clever puzzles. Each riddle was a key to understanding the enchanted forest, yet the prince's reliance on muscle over mind left him bewildered and no closer to his goal. As the prince journeyed deeper into the forest, he stumbled upon a clearing where statues whispered cryptic advice into the wind. Eager to find the princess, he ignored their words, not realizing that each statue offered guidance to overcome the trials ahead. His haste made him blind to the wisdom that could have eased his path. In his relentless pursuit, the prince found an ancient library, its shelves heavy with untold secrets and answers to the forest's enchantments. Yet, his impatience to rescue the princess led him to overlook the knowledge within. Books that could have guided him lay untouched, their wisdom left behind in his rush. Finally, the prince faced a knight, cursed to forever defend the dark castle. Clad in armor that whispered of countless battles, the knight stood, sadness in his eyes. The prince saw only an obstacle to overcome, not the sorrow of a soul trapped in endless conflict, missing a chance to understand and perhaps to heal. In the heart of the enchanted forest, a field of singing flowers stretched before the prince, their melodious voices weaving a lullaby designed to sap the will of travelers. The prince, weary from his journey, struggled to keep his focus. Each step became a battle against the urge to succumb to sleep, testing his determination to its limits. As the prince ventured deeper into the forest, he encountered a sorceress whose intentions were cloaked in mystery. Mistaking her gestures for hostility, the prince braced for a battle of magic versus might. It was a confrontation that could have been avoided, had he seen beyond his preconceptions and understood her true nature. A riddle-guarded key lay in the prince's path, its importance veiled behind enigmatic words. Underestimating the power of words, the prince faced the challenge with frustration. It was not brute strength that would unveil the key's secrets, but the quiet power of intellect and understanding. Further along his journey, the prince was offered a magical cloak with the power to render its wearer invisible. Blinded by his overconfidence, he failed to see the cloak's true value, dismissing it as unnecessary. This oversight denied him an advantage that could have eased his passage through dangers unseen. Confronted by the elements, the prince faced trials of fire, water, earth, and air, utterly unprepared. Each element tested him in ways he could not have foreseen, challenging not just his physical strength, but his resilience, adaptability, and respect for the natural world that so fiercely guarded its secrets. In the dim light of dusk, the prince stumbled upon a fairy circle, glowing softly under the moon's caress. Their voices, like chimes in the gentle wind, offered him guidance through the treacherous forest. Yet, blinded by arrogance, he dismissed their wisdom, not realizing the peril of forsaking such ethereal allies. Amidst a thicket of lies, a talking tree stretched its ancient boughs towards the prince. It whispered of deceit laying in wait, a warning to tread carefully on the path ahead. However, the prince's overconfidence rendered him deaf to these cautions, choosing instead to rely solely on his own judgment. The prince then encountered a band of rebels, their spirits alight with the desire for change. They shared a daring plan to dethrone the villain who plagued their land. Skeptical of their untested strategies, the prince doubted their potential for success, overlooking the power of unity in the face of adversity. As he ascended the rugged slopes of a daunting mountain, the prince battled against the ferocity of the winds. His focus remained solely on the physical challenge, missing the ethereal forms of guiding spirits that danced in the air around him, eager to lead him safely through the storm. Upon reaching a serene clearing, an ancient spellbook, bound by time itself, appeared before the prince. Its pages brimmed with arcane knowledge and forbidden secrets. Yet, consumed by a belief in the supremacy of force over wisdom, he ignored the tome, unaware of the key it held to his quest's end. In the depths of the enchanted forest, a hidden underwater passage revealed itself, shrouded in mystery and legend. The prince, wary of its dark waters and the unknown guardian rumored to dwell within, hesitated at its edge. Yet, the path promised a shortcut to the castle, tempting his resolve. Confronting his shadow in a sunless clearing felt like a duel with an unseen foe. The shadow, an embodiment of his inner fears, mimicked every move with eerie precision. The prince struggled, not realizing the battle was not against strength but acceptance of his own vulnerabilities and doubts. The witch's curse was sudden and bewildering, transforming the prince in ways he couldn't comprehend. Each attempt to reverse the spell only entangled him further in its magic. Unbeknownst to him, the solution lay not in combat or defiance but in understanding the deeper lesson hidden within the curse. As the prince navigated a maze brimming with illusions, his sense of reality began to warp. Images of his past, present, and potential futures flashed before him, challenging his perception of self. This labyrinth wasn't just a physical trial, but a journey into the depths of his psyche. Encountering a wounded beast, the prince's first instinct was to draw his sword. However, the creature's eyes reflected not a threat but a plea for help. Overcoming his initial fear, he approached, and in caring for the beast, he found an unexpected ally. This act of kindness revealed the power of compassion over might. In a clearing shrouded in ethereal light, the prince stands before a gate sculpted from living vines. It pulses with magic, ready to judge the purity of his heart. Doubts cloud his mind, reflecting his internal struggles. Only by confronting and accepting these doubts can he hope to pass through. Beyond the gate, a magical sword lies in wait, its blade gleaming with untold power. However, its hilt remains just beyond reach, a barrier formed not by physical distance but by the prince's own pride. To wield this sword and harness its strength, he must first learn humility, letting go of arrogance. A puzzling contraption blocks the path, its gears and levers demanding patience and thought. The prince, driven by urgency, fumbles with frustration as the solution eludes him. His impatience acts as the real lock, and until he learns to temper it, the way forward remains firmly shut. Confronted by a mysterious figure, the prince is offered a potion purported to grant courage. Yet, as he faces his fears without the potion's aid, he discovers that true bravery lies within. This revelation marks a pivotal point in his journey, teaching him that external aids are no match for inner strength. Finally, the prince reaches the princess, but the encounter is not as he envisioned. Standing before her, he realizes that the greatest challenge was not the journey itself but understanding himself. Each obstacle, each trial, was a mirror reflecting his growth, leading to this moment of self-discovery and true readiness to face whatever comes next.